A distinctively different style of play was developed in some Asian countries. Rather than holding the racket as Europeans do with a shake-hand grip, they employ a pinhold grip. As the term says, the racket handle is held similarly to a pin, with the butt of the handle pointing upward between the thumb and index. Traditionally, pinholders strike the ball with one side of the racket only, but the modern Chinese style has developed to include a backhand stroke, the mechanics of which look like a shake-hand backhand. It employs the Chinese pinhold style uses a round racket with a short handle. On the forehand side, the thumb lies against the side of the handle, more or less parallel to it, and the index finger curls partially around the end of the handle. On the back, the middle, ring, and little fingers are bent to the side. This allows greater flexibility in adjusting the racket angle by pushing in either direction with the thumb, and provides greater range of motion for the wrist. These are the leading factors that give this style an advantage in serving. The fact that the racket hangs downward makes attacks over the table easier because the player doesn't have to fear hitting the table with his hand. Most players using this style have exceptionally quick footwork that allows them to play most balls with their forehand. The modern two-sided Chinese pinhold style relieves pressure on the footwork somewhat because it makes it possible to loop the ball on the backhand from a position similar to that of a shakehander. For that, the player turns the racket with the palm facing backward and strokes over it. The more wrist he employs. This style is called Japanese pinhold, although it is common not only in Japan, but in Korea, Taiwan, and many other Asian countries. The main distinction from the Chinese style is the shape of the racket and handle, and the placement of the fingers behind the blade. The thumb and the index come together a bit more closely. But mainly, the middle, ring, and little fingers lay straight against the back of the blade. This provides an advantage in power since those fingers are behind the contact point on the blade and add to the force of the stroke. Probably the biggest shots in table tennis have been produced with this grip. The disadvantage is restricted flexibility. The backhand is even more hampered than that of the Since a pinholder's weakness lies in a different area than a shakehander's, we need to employ a different strategy against them. While a shakehander's weak spot is typically in the middle, by his right hip, at the decision point between using a forehand or a backhand, pinholders usually cover that spot with surprising agility. The immediate impulse would be to exploit their backhand, but be careful. Firstly, if the player plays the modern two-winged Chinese style, that's no longer a weak spot, and you have to play him almost exactly as a shakehander. You still have to deal with his greater forehand strength and flexibility, and generally going to his backhand will keep you safer, but you have to expect a possibly big shot from there as well. The strategy against traditional Chinese pinholders and Japanese pinholders is similar, but depends very much on their level. At lower levels, pushing heavily and long into their backhand will often neutralize their capability to attack. At higher levels, that won't be enough. Since they know their backhand is a potential Achilles heel, most high-level pinhold players are prepared to deal with all kinds of balls to their backhand. Pinhold pushes can be dangerously spinny, and the pinhold block from the backhand is a notoriously uncomfortable ball because it can be short and carry almost only side spin, a very difficult ball to attack. But the backhand still is their weakness. To explore it best, you have to find a way to get past the short game and get into the extended rally. You are trying to pull a pinholder out of position first, either with a short ball to the extreme forehand corner by the net, or, if you can survive his shot, with a long one, wide and deep. Once you have pulled him away from his comfort zone, his backhand is usually less threatening. Playing against a player who uses long pips can be incredibly frustrating, or it can be really quite simple. You must first understand the effect of long pips. Regular inverted rubber sends the ball back, reversing its spin upon impact, and a regular rally consists mostly of topspin balls. A topspin ball reaches the top sheet, grips the rubber, and deflects it in the direction of the spin. Once the tension on the top sheet reaches the maximum, It snaps back like a rubber band and imparts the opposite spin on the ball. Long pips bend under the pressure of the spin and don't offer enough resistance to stop or even invert the spin. The ball maintains its spin, but travels in the opposite direction. Topspin now has become underspin and vice versa. Understanding that simple fact makes playing against long pips predictable. If you loop a top-spinny ball and it is blocked back with long pips, you must expect an extremely heavy underspin ball. Conversely, if you drive an underspin ball into long pips, you will get a slightly top-spinny ball back. The spin is absolutely foreseeable. Once you've mastered that, you'll be looking to place the ball where